between, I call it a divine orchestration, because somehow between God, the spirit, and the living person, there's an orchestration that goes on there. And I will be visited by the spirit, and then a day or two later I'm visited out of the blue by the living person.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. So we'll stick to that for now. Um, but I mean, wow, just wow, Sharon. So like I said, you're creating a whole new series for me. I'm not sure what I'm going to name it. It'll be like NDE After Effects or NDE
Yeah.
Side Effects, because this happens a lot. Like this, people who have an NDE and become psychics, mediums, intuitives, sensitives, and it sounds like you already had these gifts anyway, right? Like as a child, you were seeing
Yeah.
spirits.
Did you want me to show you that picture?
Oh, that would be awesome. Yes, I was going to
Okay.
make sure I made a note to ask you. Yes.
I
Um,
have the original in an antique frame here in the hallway. So I will show you the original so you can see it.
mhm,
Um, and I had a historian contact me. I went to
mhm,
an IANS talk and I was telling my story. And there was a man there who was more interested in the Gray Eagle story than the near death experience story. So we talked afterwards for a few hours, actually. And
mhm.
he and his brother were very connected with the Lakota people and go out there. I mean, they're dear friends with a lot of them out there. Um,
Wow.
and so he contacted a friend of his that was a historian and told the historian about my Gray Eagle story. And the historian saw this picture. I don't know if you can see it very well. Is it clear enough?
It's beautiful. Yeah. And I can see it. Yes.
See,
Yes.
there's the eagle in the sky and the white horse. I never told this person anything about him. Nothing. So,
Wow.
but this is him.
Hmm.
And so the historian asked to see that picture. And I showed it
Hmm.
to him and he said, I know who your gray eagle is. I'm like, really? And I showed that picture to my mom after I got it. And my mom held
Hmm.
it in her hands and she said, oh my gosh, I know this man. I said,
Hmm.
how do you know him? And she said, he was by my bedside at the hospital the day you were born. So that I
What?
was like, what? And um, the other thing was the historian said, I know who he is. And that's how I got the information of who he really was. And what's funny is Gabriel Gray Eagle died in June 13th, 1935. My
Hmm.
mother was born in July of 1935. So, I
Wow.
mean, there's connections everywhere. And I have no, I mean, I can't put all of it together. And I don't, I'm not good at doing dot to
Well,
dot.
here's the question though. Like, so your mother said he was there on the day you were born. Is your mother known for being able to see spirit, or was this like a completely just odd, you
Um,
know?
well, she did occasionally see things, yes.
Okay. Okay.
But I don't, I, that just, I mean, that just threw me for a loop. I just about
He's been
fell on the
watching
floor.
over you. And so then that's why, okay, so and this is one of the last questions because you were getting to it at the end, but I mean, you have to think that you too might be the spirits that were in all those lifetimes. Like, why would he be showing you that unless that's not
I
connected?
know. That's what I was wanting to, I was like, can you explain? Can you talk? Can you say something? Tell me who these people are. Why do I feel the love between them? Why do I feel the pain of this baby? What is the deal here? You know, what, it's like I could feel everything as I'm watching
Mm,
these pictures. And yet I have no memory of any past lives or anything. I really
mhm.
don't. And I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't raised with that, but yet I'm
Mm,
watching these things and it's like I'm actually living them, not just
yeah.
watching them.
Yeah. And I mean, just look, like if you think about what you're saying about all of these, I mean, it started beautiful and then it would end tragically, maybe, or, because we end up dying anyway. So it's going to always kind of be a tragedy to some extent. But think about all the pain of all those lies. This is why we can't remember our past lives. It's just generally not something that we do because you'd be walking through this life depressed as heck, thinking about all the different scenarios you've been in, you know? It would be too much for the human being. But I wonder if he told you at that moment that this is us, that we have been together since for countless lifetimes, and like, how would you have responded to that? You really would not have wanted him to go,
I
you know?
didn't want him to go. It was like at that point, my feelings for him changed. He wasn't just a teacher or mentor. There was more. And I fought it. I was like, wait a minute. He he's a real person. He had a wife. He's got children and grandchildren and great grandchildren and on and on and on. And I wasn't a part of his real life. So where do I fit into all this? What is he coming to me for? I didn't understand.
Mm.
And I want to honor him. When I tell this story, and I have written a book that's going to be coming out with this story in it and greater detail.
Yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
um, it really is sacred to me because it's very, very difficult for this stuff to come out. But
Mm,
he wanted it to come out, obviously, or he wouldn't have come to me. And I have also had very there's just all kinds of spiritual sacred stuff. And like I said, I wasn't raised in the native tradition, so I know nothing about any of this stuff. I'm just saying this is what happened, this is what was
mhm,
said to me, this is what was done, and you can take it or leave it. I'm not claiming to be anybody. I don't know anything about anything. I'm not
mm.
trying to be um say that I'm something that I'm not. I'm just a humble country bumpkin from West Virginia, and that's it. I am nothing. But
I,
if
that's
I and I want at that I want to preface that by saying I honor and respect,
yes,
and I'm not taking anything away from anyone or claiming anything.
yeah. And
But
it's so hard because people will complain about that. People will mention that. But when it comes
Mhm.
down to it, that's the beauty of reincarnation. And that's why I really hope that more people understand and believe it or give it some kind of credibility. Like for me, it's a sure thing. So it's hard for me to even talk to somebody who doesn't believe in reincarnation. I'm kind of looking at them like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? This is like obvious, but that's the thing that is going to bring us together. It sounds like a lot of what he was telling you, a lot of what he said your message should be for mankind is that we are one. We have to join. We have to get over the fights and the killing and this and things that are not easy to get over. I mean, I'm from a background where, believe me, from my people, what was going through to us and now and even we've been through a lot. So it's a lot to get over. But guess what? It's either you keep fighting, you keep hating, and just keep a really bad atmosphere and environment for everybody, or you come to the table and say, okay, this is what I need to get over this, and let's move forward and let's do this in love and peace and harmony. It's the only solution.
that's the only way we're going to survive, and that's what he was saying. It's like, look, everybody, every race has suffered, and he was saying that um, this fighting over land, they the Great Spirit gave enough land and resources to support every soul he puts on this earth, and that no land does not belong to anyone; it belongs to everyone, and that we have to take care of the land and honor the land and support the land and take care of it because we have to pass it down to our children and our grandchildren. and we have to leave it better than the way we found it. And we're
Hmm.
not doing that. We're taking all the resources, and
Oh,
we're doing things that are not going to be sustainable
I
for.
dropped it. Sorry. I told you I am so clumsy. I am so clumsy. I just knocked everything down.
You
Sorry.
sound like me. I'm totally blonde, and I can prove it too. I walk into walls and trip up the stairs, and
Okay, sorry. Sorry about that. Hmm.
but there was so much that he said, and I wish that I could just speak as eloquently as he did, because if I
Hmm.
could, and I can't, because I mean, the way he spoke was so absolutely beautiful.
Hmm.
And I did write down just about, I had a diary I carried with me everywhere I went,
Oh,
and I
okay.
wrote everything down. But it was like, when he would give me a teaching, I'd write it down. But
Okay.
that's how I wrote my book. So I made sure that I wrote exactly what he said. But if I'm
Yes.
just going to speak it, it's like paraphrasing. So he was so eloquent. And um, there is, so the historian did give me a background of exactly who he was and what he did in his life. And
Mm,
he was a tribal judge for many years. He was a delegate at he would go to Washington. He was a spokesman for Standing Rock. I mean,
mm,
he did some really important things. He tried to get
mm,
Sitting Bull to get his people and go on the reservation, because that was the only way he was going to survive. Sitting Bull wouldn't go. So Gray Eagle took um, Sitting Bull's wives and children and protected them when Sitting Bull got killed. You know, it was
mm,
like, he tried to use his influence to talk Sitting Bull into it, and telling them, this is not going to end well. You know,
mm,
we're not going to beat this. We have to go to the reservations in order to protect our people and to survive. This is times have changed now. It's not going to get any better. And
mm,
then Sitting Bull, there was a scuffle, and Sitting Bull got killed. And it so Gray Eagle, they separated for a while. They did go to Canada, and they tried to run from it, but it it didn't last. You know,
mm.
um, it was just, there was so much, and the historian was
Yeah,
the one that told me all this stuff, because I didn't know who this.
yeah.
I knew I could see him, and he was teaching me things, but I didn't know his background, and he didn't tell me who exactly he was until the historian told me. And he gave me pictures of him, and of him in real life, and you can see the likeness. And it was like, oh
Mm.
my God, and it just made me love
Wow.
him more. But I did
Yeah.
tell him, when he left, I looked up at the sky, and I said, when I die the final time, I'm going to look for you, and then I'm going to punch you in the face, and then I'm going to hug you and kiss you. You left me
Yeah.
again.
And that's what I wonder too, is like if it was you two that were together all those lifetimes, is like is I mean it's just a lot of questions that come up with this whole story, because first of the fact that you see spirit in physical form is
Mhm.
like I've heard it before, so you're not the only one. Like people do see him as like you can see through him, and there's others who just see orbs, and then there's those that I get really confused because it's like you're walking by regular people, and that
Yep.
to me is like the freakiest form of I guess clairvoyance, because right, I think it's clairvoyance. Yes, because
I don't know what it's
how
called. I just know it happens to me all the
yeah
time. They'll
how
just
do
come
you
and show up.
how do you walk around and deal with life when people are just appearing and you don't know if it looks like you're talking to yourself? Like for instance, when he took you out, when he's let freed you from the backyard, and let you walk through the neighborhood, were you talking to him telepathically at any point, or was it just like you're just looks like you're just talking to yourself walking down the neighborhood?
It probably looked like I was just talking to myself. I think when
Hmm.
you're in heaven, it's telepathic.
Ah,
When you're in
right.
spirit world, it's telepathic. But we were in this world. And so we were talking
Wow.
in this way. Now, I have spirits come to me all the time.
Mm,
And usually what I do is I let God take care of it. I don't get them. I don't call them to me. I don't conjure them up. I don't do
mhm,
not. I do nothing. And if one happens to show up, I take them outside and I sit
mm,
outside with them and I let them tell me what it is they want, you know.
mm,
And um basically it's, if you have a message you want to give to someone, I'm here to help you. I will be happy to help you. But
mm.
you have to give me um evidential information because I don't play head games. I don't do it with
Yeah.
living people and I'm not doing it with you. There
Mm,
won't be any haunting stuff. None of that game. I don't play
mhm.
head games. Um, you better be who you say you are, and you better prove that you are who you say you are before I give
Yes.
any messages to anybody. You know,
Yes, I am so glad you're saying that. That is so important. People pay attention. That is everything. Because that's what
Mhm.
I say about either a lot of NDEs, a lot of these experiences, period. Shape shifting is one of our, it seems like it's one of our powers when we're not in this body. And so it is just like a great eagle told you. He said, everybody and everything is not what it appears to be. This is real, you
And
know?
people are not who they, not always who they claim to be. And he taught me a lesson about that. And it
Mhm,
was a big one. And I learned, I mean, it was like he pointed that out. And I can tell you, I'll tell you that later. But yeah.
mhm. Good, good. I'm glad you do that. And then so it protects like when you are sharing these messages with whoever, then you now know, okay, this is definitely who I was talking to. It's not some kind of weird dark
Right.
demon or something trying to, get you to take this job or go to this state, nothing weird.
Well, they usually, what they do is I let, you know, somehow between, I call it a divine orchestration, because somehow between God, the spirit, and the living person, there's an orchestration that goes on there. And
Mm,
I will be visited by the spirit, and then a day or two later, I'm visited out of the blue by the living person.
really?
And then the spirit will come back and start showing me things and telling me things.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, here we go. And I'll tell my husband or my children or whoever, okay, there's someone here. I'm going outside because I don't really want them in my house, you know? It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
let's go outside and deal with this out here. It's,
yeah.
but it happens
And
all
just
the
because
time.
I get it.
I
Yeah.
don't have anything in it. I get nothing out of it. I don't charge anybody. I don't do anything. I just sit there. I'm open to whatever God wants me to do. But
Yeah.
I make sure I have boundaries. I have um you know they're going to come anyway. I have this
Mm,
flashing sign above my head that says if you're dead come see Sharon, you know. But they're going to come anyway. But I put my
mm,
boundaries around me and I say this is how it's going to be. If you're going to come to me, then you're going to play by my rules because
mhm.
you know, or you can go down to the next person that can see you, and good luck with that. You know,
Yeah. Yes.
because not everybody can. And
Yeah.
you know, you found me and I'm willing to talk to you and be nice to you. And you better be nice to me. And if you pull the sheets off my bed and slam the doors and flicker the lights and whatever else you all think is fun to do, go away. You know, I'm not
I am
helping you.
so glad. I am so glad you were saying this. Like, this is real. People don't understand. Like, I've heard stories and of other NDEers who start to have these powers, whether they want them or not. These are people who did not have them as a child. It just opened. The NDE opened them. They're starting to see spirits and shadows and this and that, and kind of freaking out. Depending on what their previous belief system is, they start freaking out or thinking that it's evil or this or that, whatever. But it just, we have to come to a point that we understand that this is a possibility. After an NDE, it is possible that you will start become having mediumistic abilities. And
Mhm.
then what's big about your story that you told here is the idea that something comes back with you. Because I have read NDEs, like, I mean, you said it doesn't happen often, and then maybe it doesn't, but I have heard of this before. So it is possible, just in general, when you are weak, from what I've heard, when you're weak, when you're sick, when you're in between, that this is when they kind of jump. Like a lot of these spirits who are just roaming around, like you are just like fresh meat, you know, so that they
Well,
can try to,
that's mhm.
because we are in general, me just sitting here, if I don't put up protection, there are beings and things around me that might try to take advantage if I open up a portal, you know? So, and when you're weak or sick or at near death, right, near death, then this is a potential problem issue. But what's it sounds to me is like I don't know, and then maybe you can tell me because you've had time now to think about this. This particular situation doesn't sound like anything I have ever really heard about. Like I can't put it under any label because from when you're saying that he came during the NDE, you would think, oh, a spirit attachment or something like that. No, it sounds like he knew you from the beginning of time, like the beginning of time, and might have known you for several lifetimes, and is, if anything, kind of like a guide or a protector. Like I don't really see him as anything else beyond that. But what do you, in your heart of hearts, think is the reality of the situation between you and him? Like, what is the relationship?
At first I thought he was just a mentor, a teacher, um, and that there was a message that he wanted me to give, his message that he wanted me to give because things were not working well when he was living. Things were not working the way it was going.
Hmm.
And he had a better idea of how things should go. And so he wanted that message to get out. Well, I think that was part of it. I really don't know, to be honest. When he showed me the past life thing, that blew me away. I'm like, okay, that's kind of, why are you showing me that? That's just different compared to everything else that you've been teaching me.
Hmm.
So I really don't know. I, as I said, I have no memory of anything. And I was never taught about that concept. So I don't know if he was just teaching me a concept so that I would know about it or whether that was actually real. And he didn't answer that for me. I guess I have to figure that out. But for me to actually see it, recognize, I could see the essences of the people. I wasn't just looking at their skin and their eyes and their hair and their clothes. I was looking into the people. I could see the
Hmm.
inside, their soul, their being, I could see their love that they had for each other and their colors, the inside colors, I don't know. They were the
Wow.
same two people every time. And it was very
Mm.
clear that they were the same two people every time. I don't know how to explain it. It was like I was seeing inside their heart, inside their soul. I could see who they were,
Mm.
even though they looked different in each time period. They were in
Yeah.
different homes, different clothes, different, they looked different each time, but they were the same two people.
Mm.
So I don't know how to answer your question. And he's
So
not
here's
talking.
Yeah, but here's the thing that pushes me to the side of, okay, maybe it really was you two, or at the very least that you guys have a connection and that you have had native past lives. Because remember, he started talking to you in his native language, and if if it was that he just stayed in his native language, I would assume that for some reason he can't just switch languages. He doesn't have that capacity. But it was almost like he expected you to understand him, and when you didn't, he was like, okay, I'll speak English. you know.
Right.
So
Exactly.
that makes me wonder, like who he knows that you are, whether you know who you were or not. Like he
Yeah.
would think, yeah.
But it wasn't,
Um,
it obviously, it wasn't his past, the life that he had, that he just passed away from, because
mhm.
he has relatives, and I wasn't a part of that life.
But how do you know that?
Well, maybe I was. I just don't remember. It was before I was born.
You, you keep saying, "Oh, well, I wasn't part of that." So I'm like, "Well, what? Maybe you were." Like that's the thing. We don't know. We have, unless we do hypnotherapy, and even there, who knows if it's accurate? It seems like it's accurate from what I've heard. But unless we do that, we have no clue. And mentioning that, here's my question: have you ever thought about doing hypnotherapy to see? It's like, am I ready for
Honest.
that?
Oh my God. I don't know. His family might come and come after me. I don't want to disrespect anybody that's. I certainly
But
don't
how
want
would
to.
I just how would that just I mean, like maybe you didn't have to come out with it if you feel like because he does have living family members, you don't want to cause any ruckus. But you could keep it to yourself, like just something so that you would know for yourself, like, oh, okay, there. I mean, I'm not pushing you to do it because I've never done hypnotherapy, but I'm just curious if you're curious.
I've thought about it. I have, but I don't know anybody. I mean, I live in Podunk, sorry, barely on the map. We don't have any
Yeah.
people
There's
here that do
hypnotherapists
that.
everywhere. They're everywhere. They're expensive, but they're everywhere. So, but yeah, it'll
I've
be
thought about
interesting.
it.
Yeah. And look, and
Okay,
then,
so
and then
we could do a, um fundraiser for Sharon, so we could get some answers.
yes, yes. At the end, give me your PayPal, and then we'll just say, hey, you want to hear to know if she is, connected to it's a gray eagle, then send $5, $10, 100. It's usually about $300. So that's going to be our max. Around 300 is what we're trying to get because it's about $300 to get a good session.
and and,
But
and we could do it live, and you guys could watch and make sure that you could
can
be
you
the first.
imagine?
You could be the first to hear the story.
Wow, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. And like, now here's the other beauty of this situation. So, and of reincarnation, because I've heard there's been other NDEers. There's a black female NDEer, and that I heard ages ago. Well, not ages, but probably a year or so ago. And she talks about going on the other side and seeing her previous lives, and seeing that at one point she was a slave owner, and in another point she was the slave. And that was so mind-boggling to me. Like that was like that's it. That just shows you what and who we are. Like this is why we have to forgive. We have to forgive ourselves. There are
Hmm.
times when we literally have to forgive ourselves because we have been the victim and the victimizer throughout all these lives. And so in
I
saying
did.
that,
I
oh, go
did.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I said, if this is all true, was I ever a man? I said, please tell me I wasn't a man. He said, no, you were a woman. I said, cool. All right, go on.
But
Because
I
I
mean,
don't ever want.
but that's the
I'm
thing. I feel like
so.
we've all been male and female. Otherwise, it becomes a thing. And this is why some people, I mean, don't come yelling at me because I'm not making this up. This is conversations that people have, is that if someone lives too many lives as one sex, when it's time for them, because we're here to experience, right? We want to see it from every perspective so we can understand every perspective. If you come in all these times as a woman and then you finally have a life as a man, those are the ones who sometimes end up saying, I feel like a woman. I feel like a woman in a man's body. And this is kind of, not to say that this is always the case, but this is some of those cases. It's like, okay, your spirit has been so entrenched in the feminine energy, you know,
Well,
that
that's why I
now
told God, don't send me back because
you're like,
I'm
I'm not
such
gonna
a
know what to
girly
do.
girl.
You're like, I don't know what to do with this.
I'd be, I always dress in dresses and lace. And
Yes. So
it's,
this is a beautiful conversation. So people who are having those question marks, just think like you might have just been a woman a lot of lifetimes, and now you're just like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't want to know. I want to go back. I want to go back. I can't do this.
okay, I'm a baby boy. Send me back. Nope. Don't know what that is. Send me back.
But yes, I just think it's beautiful that Because I know that you were mentioning that, okay, yeah, I don't really want to anybody, 'cause like I said, this is a thing where people kind of take on other people's culture or whatever, and they get upset about that, especially if you are part of the culture that was the instigator or the victimizer, that becomes a big thing. But it's like and I've seen videos about this, like actual movies where they kind of play with this idea. But it's like, what better way to come or to deal with this idea that we have to come together in love, other than to be in the shoes of the victim and the victimizer both, like to be, to see it from the other side. So there might be several native spirits and souls that decided, after leaving a lifetime of what they went through, coming back as white Americans to experience that. It makes perfect sense. And this is
Well,
why a lot of people, yeah.
I was talking to a Hopi elder one day, and she said that, or she said the very same thing. She said, "You
Mhm.
could have been, and now you are this." I was like, "What?" You know, because I I hadn't heard of it at that point. I was like,
Mm.
no, no.
It's
But
just
now,
it's amazing. You had these many NDEs, but you never experienced or understood. It never came to you that reincarnation.
mm-mm, no,
Wow.
no, I knew nothing about that. Nothing
Hmm.
about. And I think you know, he was the one that was supposed to teach me that. But
Hmm.
that's why I prayed. And I said, after
Wow.
the life I've lived, this lifetime, I don't want to come back again. But
Yeah.
I also had I went to a powwow once, and I had a native woman, and I never did anything to her, but she yelled at me. She told me, she said, "You only come, I mean, look at your blonde hair, your blue eyes. You only come to powwows to pick up our men." And I said, "Wait a minute. I'm not here to pick up your men. I'm here to listen to the music. I'm here to watch the dancers and to go to the booths and socialize. I'm not here to pick up your men." And and then I
Wow.
thought for a minute, and I said, "Wait a minute. If you can't hold on to your own men, that's your problem. That's not mine." And you know,
Wow.
it was
Hmm.
she was dressing me down. She said, "I don't care what runs through your veins. I don't care what experiences you've had. I don't care who you are. But you
Hmm.
don't come here and steal our men." And I'm like, "I'm not here for your men. That's not what I'm here for."
Wow.
And it was just
Yeah.
like out of the blue. And I realized that, you know, I realized that there's anger. I realized that there's hurt, but I didn't do it. My
Hmm.
ancestors didn't do it. And, you know, if you want to make me hurt because you're hurting, you did a good job,
Hmm.
because I haven't been back to a powwow since.
Oh, wow.
And I did go to, uh, that was the most recent, but it was like, that's fine. If you want to, if you want to dump on me, that's okay. But,
Hmm.
you know, people don't realize their words can make a soul or break a soul.
Yeah.
And I didn't do anything to her, and
Yeah.
it hurt me a lot. And it was like, I get that you're hurting, but you're not old enough to have gone through the genocide or the schools or any of it. You're not old enough. You're holding on to your ancestors' pain, and you're taking it out on me because of my hair. You have no idea what runs through my veins,
Mhm.
and you're taking it out on me. And you're that's how people can be wrong about a person, by looking in today's world. There has been so much intermarriage that you don't know a person, and it only takes one drop
Mhm.
of blood
Yeah.
for that person to be.
Yeah.
you know, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And
I'm surprised that this even happened because, like you said, there's so much. It's not even like it's today because now, of course, there's more mixture. But even back in the day, there was still somehow people were getting it together because,
mhm,
like most people have some level of Native American in their family. Like even I do. Like I don't talk about it as much as I did as a kid because people kind of look at me like, "No, you're black. Like, what are you talking about?" But it's like you have that in you. You like most African Americans are a mixture of African, of Native American tribe, and white. I have the Scottish, German, this, that, like all types of stuff. And you see it
mhm,
every now and then. You'll have a kid, a little black kid, like in my family, little black kids with red hair. It comes out of nowhere because it's in the whole system. It's in the genetics,
mhm,
you know? And it's like ultimately, because I mean, on the one hand, I understand because I had a Native American friend, very close Native American friend for the Navajo tribe ages ago. And I learned a lot about their struggles, past, present, maybe future, who knows, but about their struggles. And one of his biggest issues was that he wanted to marry just anybody for love. He wanted to marry for love, but ultimately he felt like because of what was happening in his people, his culture, that he had to marry Navajo. He would have to, like, in order to keep the tradition, but also just the people to make sure that that genetic line continued. So that was a big struggle for him because he was loving other people, other females. But, he just it felt like he was kind of, I don't know, but just turning on his people or being a traitor, I guess. And it sounds like that woman had that same feeling. And ultimately, we have to get to a point as a species on this planet, if we don't want to destroy the whole thing and blow it up, we need to get to a point where we see mixture as a good thing, when it's not being done. Because I mean, there's been times that it's been done for other negative reasons, if you know history. But when it's done for love, love can never be a problem. Love can never fail. Love is it. It's the key. It's the answer.
yes, if two people get together because they love each other, what does it matter? I mean, when I look at a person, I look at the person. I see their eyes, I see their soul. I don't see anything else. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, they could
Mhm.
be from another planet with green skin and purple hair. I wouldn't care, if there was true love
Mhm.
there, really love there, it wouldn't matter to me. And I would fight tooth and nail for Mr. Green Jean or whatever, you know, it would not matter to me. And yeah, that's why I was so hurt by that lady. And then I went to
Mhm.
another powwow one time and I saw the most beautiful couple I had ever seen and the tenderness between them. And you
Mhm.
never take pictures unless you ask. Never. That's
Mhm.
just, I mean, that's just, don't ask.
Yeah.
You have to ask,
Yeah.
you know. And people were snapping pictures of them. But I went up and I asked because they were so beautiful. And the woman, she stuck
Wow.
her nose up in the air and walked away. And the man said, yeah, for $20. I said, really?
Mm.
$20? He said, yeah, because I live in Oklahoma and I need gas money to get home. I said, you know what? I said, you are right. I said, Oklahoma's really far away from here and you need to get home safe. And that is the first most important thing. So here's $20. And he said, do you want my picture? I said, no. He said, what?
Mhm.
I said, no. I said, but I do want to make sure you get home safe because that's what's important. And I started to
Mhm.
walk away and he got mad because I didn't want his picture. And what, to me, when I first walked up to them, I saw beauty.
Mhm.
I didn't see people, I saw beauty. I saw the tenderness between them and I saw something so beautiful. And it was like, it's the second they opened their mouths, it was like, I didn't see that beauty anymore. It was like I
Yeah.
wasn't interested in the picture. I saw attitude from her and from him. It was like all about the money. And it was like, if he needed money to get home, all he had to do was ask. I would have given it in a heartbeat, because
Mhm.
it's a human being from one human being to another. That's it. It has nothing to do with and all I cared about was that he got home.
Mm,
He and his family got home. But he
yeah.
got angry with me because I didn't give him, I didn't want
It
his
just,
picture.
yeah, I mean, it just, I mean, this whole conversation just brings up all of the, because it's not just, I mean, we're in America, so these are the American issues, the American history issues. This is all over the planet. Obviously, we've seen things that, happening in Israel, Palestine, Russia, Ukraine, Africa in general, the whole continent. Like there's just this happens, and I mean, and sometimes it's racial, a lot of times it's racial, but then there's also like on the continent of Africa or other places, India, etc. It's people on people. It's the same race. Sometimes the tribes are so close that you're almost family and you're fighting tooth and nail. And so
Right.
it's a people thing. And this is what we have to get over. It's either we get really bad. You know what I mean? It's almost like you think about like a special ed class. It's either we just get really crazy, like we're just out here cannibalizing each other, because that's usually the worst of the worst, killing and eating,
Oh,
or or we stop and realize that nobody's happy in this circumstance. This is not a happy way to be, because like whatever love that they felt for each other, and you have to hope and assume that that was real, as soon as they saw who they think is the oppressor, or the whatever is happening in their mind in regards to seeing you, what they see physically, because they don't understand that spirits were totally not what we appear to be. But whatever they saw in that, it made them these potentially very beautiful people into ugly human beings doing ugly things. And that's the whole crux. That's what our problem is that um, if we don't sit, because it's not also just that everybody's just going to wake up and say, "Oh, you killed my whole, my whole village." Everybody I
right.
love and know, and now I'm going to, like, let's go for a vacation or something. That's not going to happen either. There has to be a point where there's accountability. There has to be,
Exactly.
like you said, apology, so that you can even get forgiven. You have to apologize to get forgiven. And
Right.
then, as you can see, when it comes to money rules on this planet. So it's going to have to be some kind of retribution in some way or form that makes everybody feel comfortable, where it's still balanced. It's not like you're taking everything from another group and they have nothing now, because then it's just going to push the balance to a whole nother problem. So it has to be where everybody has. And like you said, the Great Spirit made enough land and resources really for everybody. The propaganda is that there isn't, that there's a set resources and we have to fight tooth and nail against everybody around us to have. But a lot of people say that that's not true. It's a lie.
The thing of it is that there are the oil giants and the gas giants, and there are people that are spilling the oil into fresh water and tainting the drinking water and that kind of thing. That all has to stop, because that's done out of selfishness and greed. So selfishness and greed has to stop, because
Mm-hmm.
they're taking, when to take in a sacred way. And Greg Eagle taught me this. He said, when you kill an animal, you pray over the animal and you thank the animal for its life, and you eat the animal and you use all of it. When you go out and you find nuts and berries or whatever, you take only what you need and you leave the rest, because someone else is going to go out and take what they need. If you take it all, there's not enough for someone else. You only take what you need and leave the rest for someone else. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you provide for those that can't provide for themselves. Um, you honor and respect those that are in your life and those that are around you. You, um, let's see, you honor the land on which you live. You take care of it because it's providing for you. So you take care of it. Don't trash it. Don't throw your cigarette
Mm-hmm.
butts and garbage all over the place, because that's gonna cause a problem, and the land won't provide for you anymore. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he talked about how the earth was a living entity in itself. It's alive. It's not just a circle floating around in space somewhere. It's living. Take care of it. Take care of your oceans, the water. You're going to drink that water. Take care of it. Don't dump your oil in it. Don't dump thousands and thousands and thousands of tons of trash in it. You know,
Yeah.
you eat the food in there.
Yeah.
There's so many things that he was saying that's just common sense, but people, I mean, the way he said it, it was like, wow, okay, but it was, it's like this, the world has lost sense of what the simple things, and he was
Yeah.
bringing all that back and saying, it's not that complicated, you know,
Hmm.
but we have to honor and he was talking a lot about accountability and respect and forgiveness and asking people forgive my ancestors for what they did to you, and and um I'm sorry, what can I do to make it right, because we all have to work together, so we've got to let it
Yeah.
go, and people have to start searching their hearts and stop holding grudges against people, because he said people who hold on to hurt, that hurt only hurts those who hold on to it. And he said
Hmm.
the honorable thing is to let it go and move
Yeah.
forward. Because if you're stuck in the past and you live in the past, there is no hope. Hope is only in the future and moving
Hmm.
forward and getting out of that. Don't get stuck in the past. Move on, move forward.
Yeah.
And that's what he was hoping that his messages would bring.
Mm.
Yes, all that stuff happened. Yes, it was painful. Yes, it was wrong.
Mm.
And we should learn from it so it doesn't repeat itself. And that was his message.
And I'm so glad you're writing a book. Like it was one of my questions. I'm like, okay, are you writing a book about this? Because
Actually, it's at the publisher right
awesome.
now.
Are you gonna want? I mean, at the end we'll do. But do you have an actual title and everything, or like how is it all ready?
Yes, there's a title, but it has been edited several times and it's being finalized, and it's going to be as far as I know, unless it gets changed again, it's going to be called Timeless Love, A Song in the Wind, Book 2.
Mm.
Because the first one is A Song in the Wind, and it has my first and my second near-death experience. This book will have my second near-death experience going into Gray Eagle and how he came to be, who he is, what his message was. And then it goes into the very end of the book is my third and my fourth near-death experience. And then when I was mourning his loss, when he left, he actually
Mm.
said some very beautiful words to me and explained to me why he's there and I'm here.
Mm.
And it explains that whole concept. And so that part will help those who have lost loved ones.
Okay.
And it will help people to understand you have to go on with your life, even though your loved one is not with you. When you see a sunrise, they see that sunrise through your eyes. When you love, they feel that love through you. When you experience, you take nothing away from them, but you
Mm.
keep going on in life, and they can feel what you feel. They experience through you. They continue to experience through you. And it was very beautiful, the things he said. And so that's going to be in there. It was
Awesome.
beautiful words, loving words, just very wise words, but it was like, so that will help people who have lost loved ones, lost husbands, and
Mm.
whatever.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So and the first book is out there on Amazon. It's something I can put up for people.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. So I'll put that
and
up.
then there's a children's book that I wrote. It's out there too on Amazon.
Okay. Do you want to send me the links, or you want to say what the title is now? So I'll have it fly across.
Okay, there. Um, the first one is A Song in the Wind. The second one is A Rose from Heaven, and it's
Mhm.
a children's near-death experience story.
Okay.
Uh,
And what inspired you to do that?
I wanted. Um, I started thinking about how a child would feel, um, and so I used my experience, and I put myself as a little girl going through this experience. And I had
Mhm.
a wonderful lady who did the artwork in it, and she just
Mhm.
brought my words to life.
Wow.
It was just beautiful. So I took my
Mhm.
experience, and the little girl is me, and the little girl goes, and she is experiencing heaven, and she brings a rose back from heaven, and when she comes back to her hospital bed, there's a that beautiful yellow and red rose laying on the ground next to her bed, and it
Mhm.
is just beautiful. And I have
Yeah.
actually heard that a lot of adults like it more than the children do.
Oh, okay. But
It's,
I like that it's getting it's all about getting people to understand that we're not these bodies, that we're having an experience here on this planet. And then ultimately, I can't wait. I mean, I'd love for somebody to really do something that's going to help people understand that reincarnation is real, that we are just spirits recycling through these bodies and these cultures and these colors and these sexes, to experience, what we have not experienced before, and to understand, and
Mhm.
the worst thing, one thing that someone had told me before is that if you sit and you hate a particular people or a particular culture or a particular sex or whatever you hate the most is pretty much what you're going to definitely come back as, because you're going to need to experience life through those eyes. Because love is the key. Love is the answer. Love is the end all. Hate cannot. If there's hate in you, then that means you got work to do. Something's
Exactly.
wrong.
Exactly. And I wasn't saying I didn't want to come back as a man because I hate men. That's not the truth. I love men.
Oh, no,
It's
no,
just
no,
that
no,
I don't
no.
want to be one. I'm too
No, no,
good.
I totally get it. I get it. I get it. No, no, no. I'm talking about when people actually just hate a particular culture. Like, that is a sure way to come back as that culture. So if people only knew that, that's going to get them on a straight and narrow real quick anyway.
That woman's gonna come, that yelled at me is gonna come back as a blonde.
The blondest blonde you can find, and she's going to say, "Oh, okay, I get it. I get it. I'm sorry."
I should have went and got a box of Clairol and dumped it on her head right then and there.
But so this is
I
just
should have
one
looked
of.
at her and told her, honey, I'm old enough to be any of these men's grandmother. What are you talking about? I'm not interested
But
in
it just, I mean, like you said, it's our words that hurt. And I, because I have been in a place where, and we all have been in places where we've said things that we look back and say, oh my God, did I really do that? Did I really say that? We as we mature, I feel like we have to learn to love with more compassion and love unconditionally. So even in that moment when she's hurting you and breaking you down and making you scared to go to the next powwow, you have to know that this is coming from hurt and pain and ignorance, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. That's
And
why
it's
I
a
walked away. I didn't fight
and then
with her. I
just
didn't argue.
and you just pray to God in those moments that this person learns, that God sends them the experiences and the things that they need to get past where they're stuck at, because she's stuck.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
So yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
And that's
But
pretty
they,
much why I didn't argue. I'm like, no, I'm not here for your men, and I'm too old for them, any of them, and no, goodbye. And I walked, you know, we're not carrying on this conversation here. I'm leaving. Bye. It wasn't worth
and you
arguing. I
and you will
couldn't have
go to
won
the
the
next
argument anyway.
powwow.
Huh?
You will go to the next powwow with me. You're taking me along.
Yes.
They're not going to kick both of us out.
I look at them now and say, no, come and get me. I've got protection now.
But yeah, I mean, and this is what we know we need to do this because we have to get to a point where we can, you know, this is the only way we're going to, I mean, I just hope people start to understand, please, God, please let people understand that this is the only way we can move forward in peace and love. Like to really have a utopia on earth, we have to get past all the anger and the hate and the resentment and all the past stories. And we got to do it in the right way. 'Cause I'm not just saying
Exactly.
like, hey, forget everything. And no, we got to do it in the right way, but we have to get past it. There's no getting around it,
That's right.
you know?
That's what Gray Eagle was saying. Acknowledge what was done. Apologize for what was done. Make amends, but
Mhm.
honor and respect, tolerate, you know, um,
Yeah.
tolerance, acceptance.
Uh,
It was,
Love,
yes, love,
love,
love, love, love. I mean, and
love.
that's the only thing that's going to fix anything. I mean, you
Yes.
have to, and don't make something that's not your business. Don't make it your business. If it's not
Mhm.
yours, that's not your stuff. Don't put it, if it's not your monkey, don't carry it, basically.
Basically.
You got enough monkeys to carry in this life. Don't take somebody else's monkey on it. you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah. But I mean, all in all, this is an amazing story. Absolutely amazing. And like I said, I think you started a whole new series, a whole new
yeah,
series just with that. Because I mean, and I know you only told me a little portion, because I know we've had our other experiences. Like you apparently are all day in the spiritual world or half in and out. But I do thank you because I do thank you for sharing your experience, Sharon, and I am looking forward, like as soon as you have an actual link for your book, let me know. I'll put it out there. If
thank you.
how like, do you want people to contact you? And if so, how? So
Um, People can contact me either on Facebook or they can email me. And I mean, I don't mind emails.
okay. And your email?
Sharon Milliman at gmail.com.
Your PayPal, so we can start putting the money together. That 300 for the hypnotherapy.
How about if I send it to you and you put it in a little basket
Yes,
somewhere, and then that
yes.
way they know it's all on the up and up.
So,
And then we
you
can
can,
schedule it with somebody and we could do it on live and everybody can
that
watch
would
me
be
drool and
awesome.
whatever it is you do when you go into tip. I don't have a clue. I've never been hypnotized, but wouldn't that be funny?
Well,
Oh
I don't
my
know if
goodness.
it's drool, but you might cry. I've heard people crying or maybe screaming, but not drooling. I don't
Oh
know.
my God. I don't want
Um,
to, well, I don't know. It depends on who shows up, whether I'm going to drool or not.
well,
I'm just kidding. I have
yeah,
no
okay.
clue. No idea. I'm just being
Okay,
silly.
so
I really have no idea what happens when you get hypnotized. I don't know anything about it,
yeah,
but I'd be willing to do it.
cool, cool, cool. All right, so you text me your PayPal later, and then I'll have that go for.
Oh,
And
where'd you go?
I dropped my phone again. Oh my God. Oh my
You
God.
disappear when that.
Sorry. Yes. Sorry, sorry. And there's no reason for this to keep happening. I promise you. This is
You know
just
what it
me.
is, right? It's the near death experience after effects, which we could talk about another time, but there are tons of after effects. It affects your
Yeah.
electromagnetic field. And so,
My my whole life, me in electronics, not just physically, but just electronics, I'll have things, the whole car just
yep,
have explode
yep,
or or stop working. The whole alternator just stopped. It's me touching it in anger, like boom.
yep, I know.
So my family know not to give me like really important electronics. Everything has to be something that's like if it's gone, it's okay.
I can't do computers. I have fried computers. I mean, all I have to do is turn them on and the whole program just goes away. And it's
Wow.
like black. And
Wow.
I'm like, what just happened? All I did was turn it on and the program's gone. Or,
Hmm.
and lights will flicker on and off. And,
Hmm.
the TV does weird things. And if you get more than one in the ear on the phone, it's like the phone does weird things. And so I had to write my whole entire book on my phone.
No, 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 no.
The whole thing is on my phone. And that had to be edited on my phone. And then I had to send it to an editor to be
What?
re-edited to make sure, because I don't have I can't get a computer to work for me. And when I
This
was
is
angry one time, I did the same thing to my car, only I was standing on the porch. The car was in the driveway. And I don't get
oh,
angry very often, but something must have happened and I can't remember what it was. So it wasn't important, but I must have gone from 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds. And I went out on the porch. And when I did, the trunk of the car popped open, the lights started flashing, and the horn was going off. And I thought someone was in the house playing with the key fob. And I went in the house and looked, and the key fob was on the table. There wasn't anybody around.
wow. People don't know. It's real. It is real.
It
Energy
is.
is real. Energy is real. And then I don't know how an IONS meeting can even happen. Like I have friends who want me to go to the next one, on the West Coast, and I don't know how all of us, can be in
Oh,
one place.
the energy is crazy. I went to the last one. I was a speaker at the last one. And I'll tell you what, you get in an elevator and the elevator starts doing shaking or whatever. Or you get into a room with everybody, and like whoever is doing the presentation and trying to use the computer, they have to go back 2 or 3 times and turn the computer back on. Or,
Wow.
the energy is just crazy. Everybody's like high and nobody's feeling anything. You know, you're like walking 3 feet off the ground. You're floating. You see all these people
Yeah.
floating everywhere.
And I
And
want to mention because I think part of the reason why I keep knocking into this, so I have some NDE guests where I just feel love. Like I'll start feeling stuff in my, I guess you could say the chakra, the crown chakra.
mhm,
I don't even talk like that really, but I start feeling something up here, like tingling, and I'll
tingle,
feel this overwhelming love feeling, like a divine love, not a weirdo, creepy kind of love, just like divine love, right? And then
right?
with you, this is not our second conversation. Remember the first time we spoke, I was saying that I was feeling like I was getting like hot energy, like I was feeling feverish, feeling dizzy, and I'm feeling dizzy right now. Like the whole last portion of this, I started to feel dizzy, and that's why I'm knocking into my phone. Like,
I'm sorry. I'm making her dizzy. I'm so sorry.
so it's energy. It really is. It's weird because it's like we're not even in the same place or space, but I can feel it with certain people. I can feel it just this little connection. It's amazing.
Ooh.
But well, let's end it because otherwise, we could talk all day, and I want to try to go out for a little walk. And I have to edit this, so there's that. But I think that
You need to
anytime you
rest
want,
first, or you're going to be dizzy and running into trees.
yes, I'm gonna take a little nap first. But um, anytime you're invited, anytime because I love talking to you, Sharon, and you have a million gazillion type situations happening at any given moment.
Oh, I just don't.
And yeah, so I'll have everything come up, your book information, your Facebook, your Gmail, and your PayPal so we can get that hypnotherapy session. They can support you in that. And I'll be there live reporting. Live reporting. Oh my God. Well, okay, so thank you, Sharon, so much. You're amazing, you're beautiful, you're everything. And
Oh, thank
you're
you.
just
So are you.
I really do thank you, especially for putting this book together, for writing it on your phone. Like that in itself should be people should be running to buy this book because a lot of time and energy clearly went into it. Some sacrifice.
A lot of
And it
love
sounds
went into it.
a lot of love too. Perfect,
And
perfect.
and and like I said, it's not meant to be disrespectful to anyone. It really isn't. It's it's
It just
exactly
is.
what you said, and it is what it is, and it has. I'm not taking anything away from anyone. I'm really not.
Yeah. If
So
anything, you're opening it up to a whole nother audience, the audience that really needs to hear about this, the audience that needs to, ask for forgiveness. So
mhm.
there's no coincidence. Like God, Great Spirit, the creator of all, has its plan to bring all his children together, you
It's
know?
time. It's time. It's time to
Yeah.
have a big party. It's a time of jubilation. Woohoo!
Yes. All right, Sharon. So I'll let you go now, but you are amazing. Love you, love you, love you. You're awesome. And
You.
until next time.
Okay. Thank you.